The Turkish UTS-15 is actually the real-life version of the auto shotgun that we have here in Fortnite. Arguably one of the best shotguns. Coming in Chapter 3, Season 1, it was introduced. And then in Chapter 3, Season 3 is when Epic Games decided to add a mythic version to the creative mode for this gun as well. Starting off with the similarities of the auto shotgun, fire rate at 1.5, a magazine size of 8, and also the critical hit damage, which is 1.5. Of course, it's going to use the shotgun shells. But aside from those similarities, this gun is going to have a lot of differences between the common all the way through to the mythic version. Starting off with the common version of this gun, we're going to be looking at a DPS, which is damage per second, of 126. We're going to be looking at a damage per shot of 84. For the critical hit being 1.5 times, all we have to do is take that 1.5 times its base damage of 84, and that will come out to a grand total critical hit damage of 126. The reload time is going to sit at a 6.27 second. Do take in mind, this gun reloads 2 shells at a time to get to the grand total of 8. Going to the uncommon version of the auto shotgun, we're going to take a slight increase from the 126 DPS to 133.2. We're going to be looking at an overall damage per shot of 88.8, which will make the critical hit damage at 133. The reload time will come out to just below 6 seconds, coming in at 5.99. Going from the uncommon to the rare version of this shotgun, we're actually going to see a pretty decent increase at a DPS at 140.4 with a damage per shot of 93.6. That'll make the critical hit damage come out to 140, with the reload time going to 5.7. A similar increase between the uncommon and rare, going from the rare to the epic, coming out to a 147.6 DPS with a damage per shot of 98.4, which would make the critical hit damage 148. Going from the epic to the legendary, we're going to be looking at another 7-point increase for the DPS, making the legendary version of this gun go to 154.8. The damage will go to 103.2, which means that the headshot multiplier will make the legendary version of this gun come out to 154, and a reload time that will sit just above the even 5-second mark at 5.13. We're going to see a huge jump between the legendary version and the mythic version of the auto shotgun. Going from the normal 7-point increase for the DPS, we're actually going to see an 8-point increase, making this DPS 162. The damage will come out to 108, with the critical hit damage multiplier come out at 162, and a reload time below the 5-second mark at 4.8 seconds. Now that we've gone over all the stats, we have to go over the damage fall off. We know it's a shotgun, so we know that these damages are going to drop off immediately when creating distance between your opponent. So for the sake of argument, we're going to say that our damage is exactly 100 for the body damage, just to make it easy number. The damage fall off begins at 8.75 meters, otherwise known as 1.75 tiles, which means anything within that distance, you will be getting the full 100 damage. But anything after that, we'll start to see the damage decrease all the way out to 10 meters. So anything between 8.75 and 10 meters, the damage will steadily decrease from its full 100 damage down to 90. So you can see a little bit influx in between those almost full 2 meters. But then after the 10 meter mark, the gun will significantly take a drop between the 10 meter mark and the 15 meter mark, doing a similar thing where it slowly decreases its damage the farther you are away between the 10 and 15 meters, all the way down to 70. The max range that you can actually go with the shotgun is going to be 30 meters out, otherwise known as 6 tiles, before you'll realize you're not hitting your target. That's really important information to know. We know it's a shotgun, we know it can't shoot that far, and we know in order for it to reach its full potential, we have to be super close to the opponent. 8 meters out is not that far. So it's very important that if you are within that range of starting to see that decrease, that you're going to have to be shooting very high in order to hit that critical hit. It's important that you hit that to justify that more damage to equal it out to hopefully win that gunfight. Otherwise, your best bet is to try to close that gap with this gun that that does help it out though is that it is a hit scan gun, which basically means there is no travel time with the gun. But with it being a shotgun, it's going to have a spread. So if you don't know what that means, when you shoot this particular gun, instead of having one singular bullet that comes out that you would have with an SMG, AR, or even a sniper, you're going to have a bunch of pellets come out, and what will happen is they take up a wide area. The more of those pellets that hit your target, the more damage you will do. The best way to make sure that a majority of those pellets are hitting, and aka getting that critical hit, is by actually aiming down sights. This will tighten that hip fire spread in order to ensure that all those pellets are going in a more locked on position versus getting peppered out into the air. The UTS-15 that we have before us is a fast firing, medium to high damage shotgun with a very bad reload time and has to be used in super close quarters combat. The great thing about the UTS-15 that we have here is that even though it takes a long time to reload, you can do a lot of damage to your opponent and take them down very easily with one magazine. Any long range weapon that can hold its own, similar to how this gun can hold its own in close quarters, will be very, very useful for opening up the other 3 slots in your inventory for mobility or more heals. It's a good gun for anybody that likes to play an aggressive here in Fortnite.